Hi, I'm Denise Clelan. And did you know that more than 90% of what holds us back from anything we want in life comes from within us? There's rarely an outer obstacle that prevents us from doing much of anything, but our minds can play real tricks on us. So much so that our opportunities are significantly limited. In this second part of my video series entitled 3 Massive Mistakes Entrepreneurs Make That Keep Them Chained to Their Business, I'm going to talk to you about one type of inner block that may be keeping you stuck. And that inner block is called a limiting belief. A limiting belief is a belief that we have about the world, about other people, situations, or life in general that holds us back from success. Limiting beliefs are powerful and they have a huge impact on our ability to get what we want out of life. Think about it this way. If you don't believe something is possible, how likely will you be to even attempt it? And even if you do try, how much energy are you going to devote to it if you don't think you're going to be able to be successful? Not much, right? I'm sure you've heard stories about people breaking athletic records when no one thought it was possible. Or you may even know someone who has overcome some physical tragedy to walk again when doctors said there was no chance. If these same people had truly believed the conventional wisdom, it's really unlikely they would have had the same outcomes. You see, our minds are that powerful. And belief can be a supernatural support, or it can make us shrink away and not even try. So let's look at this concept from a business perspective, shall we? One commonly held belief is that you have to work hard to be successful. And if you hold that belief, you're probably saying to yourself right now, well, of course I have to work hard in order to accomplish what I want. Because you're that convinced of its truth, you can't even imagine achieving success in another way. And yet there are many people who have magnificent accomplishments under their belt who, if asked, would probably say it wasn't hard work at all that got them there. People will fight, they'll even die for their beliefs. Think about politics and religion as two great examples of deeply entrenched belief systems. There is nothing at all wrong with having beliefs. In fact, they're a normal part of our humanity. But when those beliefs limit us in some way, then we want to take a look at them. So how might your beliefs be limiting you? Let me give you a few examples of limiting beliefs other entrepreneurs hold that keep them chained to their businesses. In my last video, I talked about helicopter leadership, and I mentioned a belief expressed by a lot of entrepreneurs, and it goes something like this. No one can do this job like I can. Or, I'm the only person who can do this well enough to satisfy my customers. Or, it's just easier and quicker to do it myself. You get the picture? Well, if you hold some version of this belief, then there's no doubt it's limiting you in some way. How likely would you be to turn any of those responsibilities over to anyone else if you believe only you are capable of handling them? Not very, right? And what's even more interesting is that we will then look for examples to support our limiting beliefs. And we find them. It's like we have a special radar out there, and we're searching for evidence that our beliefs are true. And so limiting beliefs actually become self-fulfilling prophecies. Over and over again, we create and affirm the same beliefs, and those beliefs hold us fast. We can't even see another possibility. Another great example of widely held entrepreneurial belief is that young people, millennials in particular, are lazy, or that they're not willing to put forth the effort it takes to be successful. If you've just heard this statement, but you have no personal experience to test it out, then it's a limiting belief. On the other hand, if you've had a couple of employees who are millennials who are less than motivated, then you're probably dealing with a different kind of inner block, which is called an assumption. So for our purposes today, let's just assume that you've never hired a younger person, you don't have any experience with it, but you've heard that millennials aren't good workers. So you're looking for someone to fill a slot in your office. It's an important position, and you search through all the resumes you've gotten, and you set aside those for the younger people because there is no way you're going to waste your energy interviewing someone who won't work. That's an example of a limiting belief. Or maybe the millennial makes the cut and you interview her, but it turns out she looks to be like the best candidate, but in your head you're agonizing over whether or not to continue the process because you believe it to be true that her generation just isn't going to work out. Again, this is a limiting belief because that belief is limiting you in some way, even if it's just making you energetically drained. So now that you know what a limiting belief looks like, I want to give you a couple simple techniques to help you release them. To test a limiting belief, ask yourself some or all of these questions. First, where did I get that idea? How true is it really? What's another way to look at this situation? And what examples are there that support the opposite of my belief? So in the limiting belief about millennials, as an example, you might ask yourself who you know that's that age and who is a good worker, who's motivated. These are just a couple examples, but when you really stop and think about all the beliefs that we hold on to that limit our potential, it's mind-boggling. It's like we're looking out at the world with a film over our eyes, and as long as that film is in place, the limitations are real. But when we release those beliefs, we're free to try on so many different possibilities. Things we've never even considered before. So I'd like to challenge you to take a look at your beliefs and ask yourself if they're supporting you or if they could be limiting you in some way. And if they are limiting you, you now know how to break free. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll check out my third video in the series, 3 Massive Mistakes Entrepreneurs Make That Keep Them Chained to Their Business. And until then, be free.